We're on the Mishnah on Chavdal Amud Beis, on the Mishnah on 24b. Oisa Sukkah ben Elinai ben Ha'ilanais. The Elinais Stefanos lo Kshera. What happens is, until now we were referring to the case that I was basing my sukkah on a tree. I had branches, I had a tree house, and my sukkah was on the tree house. And then we said what happens if you're only using one wall for the tree and you put your own beams in the ground to support it. That was a previous mission. Now we're talking about that you're not using the tree as a base, as a support, as an actual foundation. Rather, you're just using it as a wall. I'm in Northern California, or just like another Oregon, I guess. No, I have a huge redwood, and I'm using that huge redwood as a wall. Now, of course, that's a bad example because there's no way you're going to get any shade under, right? If you have redwood, then you're not really using. You get the point, right? Okay. I make a tree I make my sukkah between the trees. And the trees are the trees are the wall. It is permitted it's a kosher sukkah. Okay. Now, however, the Gemara's first question is, Amar Rav Acha bar Yaakov asks, Kol mechitza she'eino yechil la'amod b'ruach matzuya eino mechitza, that any sukkah that cannot stand in normal wind is not a good mechitza, right? We know that you have to have a mechitza, you have to have a sukkah that could withstand a normal wind, a regular day's wind. Now, and then we learn Tanan. Our Mishnah says that you could go use a tree as you could use a tree as a sukkah, but the problem is that a sukkah, it flaps in the wind, it goes back and forth, so it can't really withstand the wind. It's not getting blown down, but it's being moved by the wind. So how could one use a tree as a wall? So the answer is, the Gemara says, the answer is that it has an extremely thick trunk, therefore it's not going to blow. Okay, fair enough. But the answer is, okay, that's very nice. That's very nice that there's the trunk, but the branches are for sure swaying. No tree doesn't sway. And if that's part of the wall, you have a problem because now it's swaying. The answer is the Avid Lei B'hoitz V'dafna. You tie them up. You tie up the branches securely. You tie them to the trunk. Now they're no longer going to sway. Yahachi Mailim Imra. So if so, what's the case? Then very good. So what's the chiddush? Of course, I can use a tree if it's fully tied up. Why wouldn't I be able to use a tree if it's not swaying? There's no chiddush here. The answer is what was it the Mishnah come to teach us? Now the same nigzar dilma aslas ash tumushi be'ilan kamashmul. I might be afraid that's forbidden to use because on Yom Tiv I might end up utilizing the tree. I might hang things from it and I might lean things against it, which is forbidden on Yom Tiv. Therefore, the Chayah is telling, even though it's true the tree is forbidden, we're not forbidden to utilize on Yom Tiv, but using it as a wall of the sukkah, we're not going to make a decree that we're not going to make it a gezerah that you might come to use the tree. That's the chiddush is that it's permitted to use a tree, and we're not worried about you utilizing it in a forbidden manner on Yom Tiv. Okay, now we're going to go through a few similar cases. Tashma hayisham ilan ayeder emechitza hakanim nidan mishum diyumad. Now, we just said, so one thing is that right in the beginning of Gemara, we said every mechitza that moves is not, and mechitza has to be withstand the wind, meaning it's not supposed to move, it's supposed to stay stand still. And therefore, we had a question with our case. We said no, it's tied up. Now, the next case is the case that we mentioned before, that when they were traveling to Yerushalayim three times a year for Yom Tiv, the travelers went to the desert and they needed to make a quick eruv in order to draw water. So the rabbi said you don't have to go in and start making a full four-sided mechitza around the pits, around the wells in order to draw up water. Rather, in each corner you could put a L-shaped bracket, and that would be enough to be an eruv. Now, the halacha is that you could use a tree Instead, you could use there are ways to make it that you could use a solid. It doesn't have to be an L bracket. If it would, if it would be large enough, it will work as well. So therefore, and it says over there, you're able to go ahead and use a tree. So how could you end up using a tree if we just said that a wall that can't withstand wind is not a good wall? So then how could you use this tree as a wall for the corners? The answer is there too. The case was that you end up tying it down. Okay. Tashma. If you have a tree that the branches sort of touch the ground, like let's say, sometimes let's say
a willow, an example.
Weeping willow, right? A willow tree. So the willow tree, the branches go all the way down. Not always. Sometimes, at times it touches the ground. Now, if the branches are within 3 tfachim of the actual ground, you could carry underneath that area on Shabbos. We'll look at it as if it's a wall. How could be that called a good mechitza? It's moving. There too, we're going to say that you ended up tying it up. Now, on this, we have a question. If so, that you need to help the Kollel. Why is it you only could carry under the branches? Why can't you carry under the entire tree? So, the case of the Beish Sastayim is that it's an area that is enclosed but it's not meant to live in. Now, so what we're saying is that we should carry under all of it. We're saying is that you only could keep 2. The Beish Sastayim. Now, the Beish Sastayim is the area of the Mishkan, the Chatzar, the area of the Mishkan, and that is for a certain an area that was enclosed, but not meant to live in. Chazal said that you only allowed to carry up to that area, to 2 saw. Now, so we're saying is that under this tree, why is it that we say that you only can carry you can't carry entirely, only under that specific area? It's a dira which is not meant to really it's not meant to live in. Just it's in this specific case they're using it under the trees to watch the fields, and the area under the tree to watch the fields. You're not really living in it. You're just using it as a place to hang out, but you're not really living there. Any area which you're just using to protect yourself from the elements, you only can carry in it in an amount of a 2 saw. Now, Tashma we learn, Shavas betel shugvaya sara. If you end up on Shabbos, if you bein hashmashais, when it comes to twilight, wherever you are, that is considered the place where you're resting on Shabbos, and you can't go beyond 2,000 ames from there. Now, if you're in your city, then you have 2,000 ames from the actual city walls. But if you're out in the desert, it's 2,000 ames from where you are. That's called Shavas. So Shavas betel shu gavaya sara. If you set your place this is your place on Shabbos on a mountain or a hill higher than 10 tefachim, huma arba ames at Beish Sastayim, and then you could carry, and that's from 4 ames until 2 saw. That'll be your area. You could carry on there the entire, because since it's higher than 10 tefachim, it's its own area. It's a mountain of its own, and you could end up carrying as long as up to 2 saw. Up until 2 saw, you could carry within that area. If this little hill is greater than 2 saw, then you restrict it to 2 saw from your area. Or, in the opposite, you're not on a flat land in a desert, rather you're in a crater, and it's 10 tefachim low, so it's sort of like its own domain. So you're establishing that as its own domain, but it wasn't created to live in, it was made naturally. So you're just utilizing it for a short amount of time, and it's not really living it. It's the same thing, you carry 4 ames until 2 saw. Also, if you're in a cornfield where you have extremely high corn, and there is a middle part which is already cut down, so you're surrounded by 4 walls of high corn. The same halacha. Now, on this, the same halacha. Why could I end up going ahead and carrying the corn, or whatever it is that's high, or the stalks of whatever it is going to be waving? somebody weaving in the wind. So therefore, it's not a good mechitza. We learned any mechitza that can't stand still in a regular wind is not a good mechitza. Answer Hasanam over there. I guess somehow, some way, you did the same thing. That you ended up tying it up and making it strong